Okay, so you bring up your Wind River measurement. If we just replay that, we've got 4 fairly good transects here. You can see the discharges here, 226. This is the Mataura Seaward Downs. So if we open up, say, this first transect here, play that one. Actually, no, we'll go to the second one, because I've already used that one. First one. So we've got a cross section here. Now we want to have an ASCII output, which can be then fed into the Edi software. So under configure ASCII outputs, just a classic, and you can choose either backscatter or intensity, it doesn't matter, they both work. So if you finish that and rerun, you'll see it's recalculating it, and now this has come alive as a text file. So then if we go out of here and into this software here, so it's called Edi 3 and 3264 bits, so that's just the name of it at the moment. So if we start this software, which is now on ZenWorks, run that. So here it comes up, equal discharge increment, and we want to open a file. So we go and pick up that file. It's on our Gaugings directory. ECP Mataura. And you'll see here it's these ASCII files have been created now for these cross sections. So what were we looking at? Number 2. Open that. So this will give us our 10, 30, 50, 70 and 90% percentile discharges across the section. So let's open the file here, and we want to compute the stations. And there we go, we've got our target Q, actual Q, distance, the depth, velocities, lats and longs, which if you can navigate to them, that's quite handy, but it's quite hard on the boat. So what we've been doing is just using the distances. So we navigate out by starting a new cross section, just so F5, it resets it to 0 and just go out to 11 meters or 12 meters, usually rounding it up. We know the depth, which is quite handy for the person winding. And so, yeah, so just use your boat depth here to find your 5 sections and do your sampling. And just make sure you get your transects right, so the left and right banks are the proper way round for the increasing distances. If you select your data and bring that, here's that same file for the Mataura site brought into QRev. And you can see the results here, obviously you should be checking them. But also there's a couple of things here which we need to show you. One's a new improvement with under the GPS. So the reason this is red is because it's looking at the GGA values, even though our navigation system's VGA here. But when you're under this tab, if you hit the the Alt G, this will bring up Google Earth and go exactly to the transects that you've recorded for this file. So here we are at Seaward Downs, straight into the river, and you can see here's our benchmark site here, and this is where we did the 4 transects here and the sediments. So it's quite handy if you want to know how you went on the river and where the sites are. So if we go back out of there, now the other handy thing now with QRev and the later versions is it's got this Edi button. So rather than process the whole ASCII in Wind River, we can hit the Edi, and it's asking us to select which transect. So we were using the second one. So if I OK that, so it brings up the same box we had before. We want to compute the stations, and here we go, we've got exactly the same lats and longs, same distances as we saw before. So this is a much quicker way of getting the results by running it through QRev and then using the Edi button rather than producing the ASCII output and running it through the equal discharge increment software, the extra package. So QRev now does all that for us, so remember that. Okay, so just for another hint here, you could you see we've got the transects running here. If we rerun this one here, for instance, you'll see it always comes up with ensemble numbers here, but if we change that to data selection, so it's on number now. If we go to width, to the reference as VTG because we've used GPS, and rerun that, we'll get this in meters. So we can see our cross sections from 0 to 61 meters wide. So that's quite handy now. If we go to, say, one of our, so these are our 4 transits ticked here that we've used in our discharge measurement, and these other ones are just the ones we've used to find out our length for our sediment gauging. So if we go for one, say number 9, which I think was the furthest one over, the 54 meter one, you can see here the distances have gone out, and there's a whole lot of ensembles in here where I've been sitting around. So we go back to the start. So we've gone out from the bank, and you can see the length, you can see the ship track and the length changing too. So once we get to around about here, you can see it sitting around the this point here. You can see the ship track, the boat's just sitting in one spot because that's what we're aiming for. If we look at the EDI again, it was 54 meters, and on our length over here we see we've got around about 54 meters. So we're sitting around about 54 meters there while winding up and down to get the sample, and then we've gone back to the edge again. We could have just stopped it there, but it's gone back to the edge. So it's a meaningless measurement, but it shows you that we've gone out to that 54 meters and we're sitting there reading off this length for our position. It's another wee hint to make it easier for navigating to the right position in the river. Of course, this isn't a problem with a cableway or bridge because you can set up your tag line and go exactly to the meter marks, but just the boat makes it a bit more difficult.